when I grew up and became a teenager, I looked around and started understanding the world around me. And what I noticed that here in my country, a lot of people were poor, a lot of people were miserable, the happiness index was low, and everyone wanted to emigrate. Everyone wanted to leave Romania in search for a better life. And it was the dream of many to actually go and live in the United Kingdom. Because, you see, we actually lived with the horror stories of our parents about communism and about authoritarianism and about how crushing to the soul of the human spirit it is to be forced to have thoughts in your head that you can't express, to have feelings that you're not allowed to say because the Communist Party wouldn't allow it, to feel manipulated by your government, to have people in charge that suck the wealth and they don't give anything back to the citizens. And, you know, when I was a teenager, those stories weren't true anymore. The communist regime has fallen, but the effects, they lasted for a couple more years. And I am so glad I didn't get my wish. I am so glad that my parents didn't leave Romania. I am so happy that I didn't have the opportunity to go and live in the United Kingdom, because look at this shit show. Just listen to what their prime minister is saying.
I can announce today that following this meeting, we will establish a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder. These thugs are mobile, they move from community to community, and we must have a policing response that can do the same. Shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventative action, criminal behaviour orders to restrict their movements before they can even board a train, in just the same way that we do with football hooligans. And let me also say to large social media companies and those who run them, violent disorder clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime. It's happening on your premises, and the law must be upheld everywhere.
Yeah, all your phone companies out there, dissidents are actually using the telephone companies to talk with each other. Can we wiretap the phones, please? The postal office, we heard that they're sending letters amongst each other. Can we start actually opening packages and see what citizens are sending to each other? These were the shit that was done under communism in my country. This was the shit that my ancestors died on the streets in order to fight against and brought about the revolution. And to see that this is now happening in other countries where democracy should exist, where liberty and freedom should be championing, is actually heartbreaking. The communists didn't have the technology for facial recognition, right? Social media didn't exist back then. But I guarantee to you that if it did, this is exactly 100% what they would have done. The Nazis as well. A free society does not do this. But anyway, for those of you who don't know the context of this, one of the most vile attacks happened in the United Kingdom a couple of days ago, where a person with a knife went in and stabbed a bunch of kids. Yeah. And it's absolutely harrowing. I'm pretty sure not everyone knows because the mainstream media didn't actually talk about it as much. Usually when Donald Trump has 2 scoops of ice cream, I hear it from Romania. But this one, you actually had to be on X in order to hear about it. Very gruesome, right? Now, the people organized the vigil. And the police arrested another man with a machete that was going to the vigil. And that's when things kicked off. And some of the protests were indeed violent, but I also saw protests that were peaceful, and the police was just arresting people at random. And I think, like, the people in power, the politicians, they don't care about the minorities. They don't care about the immigrants. They don't even care about kids. What they care about is the fact that they could lose their seat. They are absolutely terrified that someone could oust them from the position of privilege that they're in, because it's really great to be prime minister. You get a huge paycheck, you get a lot of perks and privileges, you get to speak with a lot of interesting people and famous people and shake hands. it's a really nice job, you know, and it would be a shame if they would lose it. So that's what actually terrifies them. They don't care about anything else. And I'm still curious though, like I heard on the internet like diversity is our strength. Like this was being said constantly, nonstop. And it was never elaborated. Like what exactly is the strength? And it seems that now it's clear it's the strength of the politicians. Right? Because with diversity, what you get as a politician is the ability to boot stomp on your own citizens. It's the ability to crack down on social media, is the ability to crack down with censorship, is the ability to segregate people into various communities, forbid them from using trains, right? I think like this is what he said at one point. The ability to restrict their movements from boarding a train, right? So like again, you know, it's so lucky for the politicians. It is so amazing that we have global warming. Isn't that right? Like if I was a politician, I would be so happy that we have global warming because the way to stop it is to remove people's cars. And if we remove people's cars, they need to take the train. And if they protest against the government, we can just make them not take the train. Isn't that the most amazing thing? Like that is the perk of being in power right now. That is one of the big bonuses that are handed to you as a politician. So if you have conflict in your country, censorship. If you have people protesting, prevent them from boarding the trains. What is the difference between the UK and China right now? Because I remember 4 years ago, I made a video when I was saying that if the CCP was to conquer the United Kingdom, would life for people in the UK increase or decrease in quality? And obviously, you know, at the time, UK was more of a liberal country. You had more freedoms, and the government at least pretended to give a shit. And the way I viewed it was that you would lose some of the freedom, some of the privileges, but in exchange you gained safety. I mean, all of the knife crime in London would probably go away overnight if the CCP was in charge. You would get border security. You would also get the authoritarianism, like you would get censorship and social media being controlled. You would get all of the nastiness, of course. But you would also get the security and the safety. And now it seems that you don't get the security and the safety, but you will get the authoritarianism. And by the way, like this is year one of the Labour government, right? And this is how they decide to do things. Instead of actually addressing the people, instead of actually addressing the concerns, instead of actually talking about like what they're going to plan in order for this not to happen again, this is their answer. And it's very fascinating because this response is not regarding the attacks where kids passed away. Like they're not really deciding to have more authoritarianism in order to prevent that from happening. Right? They want to prevent the reaction from that. And I find it interesting. And again, I am so glad that I'm in Romania. I am so glad. I don't have words to express the gratitude that I have. For now, you know, like maybe in the future, I will stop being glad. But like right now, in this point in time, I am insanely glad of being a Romanian. And I'm also happy that my parents didn't manage to find an opportunity to emigrate to Britain. I'm sorry to say this, if you're a British person, it's true. It's absolutely true. I am genuinely sad that I am saying this because 20 years ago, I looked up to Britain. And I genuinely think it's a country with an amazing history, it's got an amazing culture, amazing people, but unfortunately, it's going through a rough time. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.